Hi, I'm Neil with Receptive Skepticism Bremerton, and today we're going to talk about Step 1. What is Step 1? Step 1 is almost always decide what you want. Sometimes it's stand up. And we're going to focus on both of those today. So deciding what you want is one of those things that sounds so easy that it goes without saying, but this is actually where a lot of people get caught. We've all had that time when you wake up in the morning, right away you drink a bucket of coffee, you have an extra meal, you get yourself all primed and ready, and then you just kind of pace around the house, not quite sure what to do. Or maybe you scrub the walls and then you feel like sitting down again. And you get in this kind of trap where you're not anywhere near as productive as you thought you were going to be because you don't have that solid plan like you were expecting. So the first thing we want to do is to be as specific as possible, phrase it in the positive. You probably heard this in various other programs, and they're absolutely right. You don't want to write down the things you don't want to do. I don't want to quit smoking. I want to chew gum, or whatever your technique for the day is. And I always strongly recommend writing your goals down into a list that you can just have somewhere. I like to keep my list up on the fridge because I do a lot of work in the kitchen. I have to cook for myself and I have to cook for my son, and I've got all my dishes in there. It's just a place where I end up spending a huge chunk of my day. So anytime I'm in there, I can spin around, I can see the little list there, and I can recite my goals to myself. And once I'm done with my chores, I go in there because that's where a lot of my chores are. And if I don't see work right away, I go to my list and I just tick down and figure out which one I'm in the mood for. And I found out this is a thing that a lot of successful people do, where they just get a big list and put it up somewhere they can see. Some people will even print them out. Some people like a chalkboard. I like a whiteboard because it's always very clean. But the point is that you fill these lists up when you're not busy, when you're stuck at work and you have to stare at a wall for a bit, and you can kind of sneak away and write little notes to yourself. And when you get a chance, you copy it down on the wall. You don't want to be in a situation where you've got your shoes on and you're working, and now you're trying to be creative about what you're going to do with all this energy. For me, the best time to really think about what needs to be done at the house is when I'm separated from it, and I can kind of think about the things that I want. We all have things that we want that are far off, like a house. But when you start thinking about what that's going to mean, like buying a plot of land, and then, there's a little house on there, and you have to kind of flip the house and add on to it, and you have to learn construction, you have to learn how to operate with contractors. After a while, the idea of having that giant house doesn't sound so great, maybe if you inherit it. So you can start doing the calculations of what you want to do with your time and energy, what you want to invest in when you've got some peaceful time and the kids aren't running around. The other trap is we might feel like we're busy because everyone can fill all 24 hours in a day. Being busy is really easy, but actually being effective is more difficult. When you're effective, what you're doing is you're working towards your goals. You have specific things that are going to make your life better. You don't want to just be in a situation where you're cleaning things that are already clean, or you're starting itty-bitty loads of laundry that don't need to be done. You want to have things that are really going to improve your life, that your wife is going to be grateful for when she comes home, and you can point to it and say, look, honey, I did this for us. Being effective. The other trap we'll get in if we don't have clear goals is you might just feel like you're being busy because you're eating, or because you're having another cup of coffee, or you're soaking the dishes, which is nowhere near as effective as we like to pretend it is. And so you just end up with lots of extra caffeine and lots of extra food. And really, once you've had that first cup of coffee, extra caffeine is really just a big burden on your heart. After you've had breakfast, eating extra is just going to make you fat. So you want to get just enough so that you can get busy. I've heard about people who do meth. I have never done meth, but the story I've heard is you get a tremendous amount of nervous energy that's not productive, and you might just sit in one spot and just kind of shiver with energy that doesn't really help you with anything. And that's what happens when you don't have clear goals. You feel busy. You feel like you're running around getting things done, but nothing gets done because it's not directed energy. We've all had those days when you wake up and you're sick and you're tired and you're sore, but you just do stuff anyway. But because you have clear goals, everything gets done. And then we've all had days when you wake up fresh and nothing gets done. You just don't really know what to do. And so the more you think about it, trying to be in that prime situation where you have the best energy and the best goals and just being perfect where you knock it out of the park, it happens. But if you're trying for it, you're really chasing the dragon. It's a crappy goal. That is not the best way to be productive. Waiting until you're in the best mood with the best goals before you start taking action is like waiting until you crave spearmint before you start brushing your teeth. Of course, the worst thing you can do is right in the middle of your working, you're all out of chores, so you sit down to think about what to do next. Because once you sit down, you know what's going to happen. You're going to pull up the computer or the TV or your phone. You're going to start looking at a screen. There's so many ways to waste time. So if you're going to put yourself in work mode, you're not allowed to sit. You're not allowed to sit. You're not allowed to have screens. You have to work on your goals. Now, if your goal involves a screen, maybe you're writing, then that's the other way around. You have to write. Maybe you're not writing, but that whole hour, you're not allowed to do anything else but write. So if you're just staring at a screen with nothing happening but a little cursor blinking, that's okay, because at least you're maintaining the habit. You're keeping the routine strong. And that's an important part of being an artist. But if you're just trying to work, then you need to keep your feet moving, you need to keep your hands moving, you need to start doing things as effectively as possible, because once you break that, you have killed all of your progress. And then we have the other step one, or your step two, which is getting started. Because we've all had that day when you're really tired and sick and sore, and you know you have to move around, so you see your shoes, you know you just have to stand up, but you just can't. Do you have any tools for that? Maybe I'll come up with something at some point, but really, the best thing to do right then is to just stand up. You know, I can only give you so much perspective and so many tools, but it's still going to be you. You're going to be doing all the hard work. You still have to bite down and suck it up. And even though you're tired and miserable, I can't magically fix that. You have to stand up. You have to get to work. The closest thing to a hack I can tell you about is routine, where you do the same thing at the same time all the time, and it doesn't feel like work. You just know that this is guitar time, even if you're miserable and tired. You know, you still have to brush your teeth. You still have to get your kid off to school. You still need to play the guitar. You still need to write out your novel. All the things that make you an artist or a professional, or all of your goals. And even then, starting your routine, it just plain sucks. And I can't magically make that stop. But it is the people who are able to stay strong and suck it up and say, yeah, it's miserable, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm tired, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm not going to do a good job, but I'm going to do it anyways. And those are the people who succeed, because it's all about the people who will do that work, who will put up with that misery, that really get far. About now, you're probably thinking that I'm really callous and I just don't understand how miserable you are in the morning. Maybe I don't, but I'd like to think that we all have those miserable days when we don't feel like moving around. I feel like that all the time. We all just naturally prefer to sit, but we also feel really good when things get done. So if you can stand up and get things done, that's where the magic happens, and that's really what a lot of this series is about. You know, I'm going to spend a lot of time evaluating tools and nonsense and dogma, but the goal we all really have is to go from a sitting, relaxed position to a standing, moving around position and making your dreams come true. That's what we all really want. If I've missed anything, please leave it down in the fudda-mudda-buh. If you want to meet me, links down below. And after that, just feel good. Because all of these things are much easier if you feel good.